What was the person doing in the McKinley Mausoleum?
What was the person doing?
He was trying to get McKinley to finish Zachary Taylor's Bing Cherries. The bitterness, the cherries would have been Bada-bing, yes? Once again, here's Janet DiGiacomo, Ace News Director.
He's at the Talk of Akron, WNIR.
We have a letter. Dear Janet, what does Bada-bing mean?
I don't know.
Well, you're from Austin town.
So?
You have spaghetti sauce on tap, so what does that
yes,
mean? What is
I don't know what
Bada-bing?
Bada-bing is.
Bada-bing, I think, is
it's
like
just
a rim shot. Ba-dum-bum. See?
Oh.
Ba-dum-bum. Bada-bing.
Bada-bing.
Bada-bing. That's Bing Crosby. Well, it's time now for another new adventure of Brian Friday. You've heard of Carl Monday?
Yes.
Well, we now have investigative authorities working for Mid-America's Take Two, Mid-America's longest running midday radio talk program, where 9 is a good number and 10's even better. Meanwhile, what?
Meanwhile,
back to Brian Friday, Investigation Radio.
What's old Bri up to these days?
Well, Brian reports to me, Dear How, it says, while attending the by the way, Michael Stanley is a personal friend of mine. We always see each other while at Walden Books, so... Dear Hal, while attending the Michael Stanley concert...
Thank you for clearing that up. I thought maybe you jammed with him once or twice.
No, I was a good guitar player at one time, but no more. While attending the Michael Stanley concert at Blossom Music Center with his faithful companion, the lovely Monica. That's right. Brian Friday, Investigation Radio, reports to me a story that Carl Monday did not have. Ooh. What could it be? While Brian Friday and his companion Monica were driving in their car, Monica said, "Oh, gee, look, a woman in distress." See? Wait, what's wrong with that? Can Monica say that?
Highly unlikely in that tone, but...
Well, well,
for the sake of the story.
And Brian says, "Oh, no, Monica, not a woman in distress, a woman actually in the action of relieving herself."
A woman undressed.
No, they don't undress. What do you know about urinary illegalities? Oh, look, there's a woman running from her car over there. Oh, look, there's another woman running from their car over here. And there's a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. This we should call, where's my hotline to Mayor Robart? Oh, they took that out when they removed the candy machine. Anyway, away from the inside jokes. Anyway, oh, look, says Brian Friday, Investigation Radio. There's a 6th woman and a 7th woman. 8, 9. It was almost like 10 little Indians, but no, it was 10 women in distress on their way to Blossom. I can't have to cough here for a second. You talk.
On their way to Blossom during the Michael Stanley concert.
I'm back. And that's right. They came running from their car. First, they thought they were in trouble or distress. The ladies were in, let me see if I could clean this up, for family radio. They were performing the actions made famous by a Supreme Court Justice, Whizzer White. They were Well, you've heard of Byron Whizzer White, haven't you, Supreme Court Justice? What do you think he became famous for?
I can only imagine.
He used to take a whiz. I mean, that quarterback in Houston, Mr. Moon, now why do you think he became famous?
Hey.
That's why they invented the Ford moonroof, right? All right, so the ladies were taking a whiz on private property.
No.
And the good citizens of Cuyahoga Falls immediately ran to the phone and called the hero of the day, Mayor Robart. By the way, a personal friend of mine.
You see him at Walden Books.
No, that's Michael Stanley. I see the mayor over at the Sheridan Suites.
Oh.
With his very lovely girlfriend having dinner at the mayor's party. Anyhow, so he promised me that we would possibly look into the possibility of urinary police.
Urinary police?
10 women, by the way.
You?
What?
I said the PU.
The PU. Or the UP.
The UP.
Stands for up something. Up yours, whatever. Anyhow, so Brian Friday Investigation Radio reports these women were between the ages of 25 and 35 and were stepping into citizens' bushes
No, they couldn't have possibly
on
been.
private property.
Because Blossom is so vast that
They
there's
were
no
on
way.
their way to Blossom. The traffic was backed up.
And these women got out of the cars.
10 women. Let's count them on the urinary police scanner here. Beep, beep, beep. There's another one. It's an official whiz. You've heard of whiz kids?
Yes.
These were whiz women.
Whiz gals.
What shall be the punishment for somebody urinating on private property? You think those folks in Cuyahoga Falls don't have a good argument? But that's not quite the only problem. Investigated by Brian Friday, Investigation Radio, we would like to see Mayor Robart pass a law that everybody who goes to Blossom must wear underwear.
What do you mean must wear underwear? What are you going to have, Howard?
The young lady sitting behind Brian and his faithful companion, Monica, she was, not au naturel. She was not with her Calvin Kleins. And she had a miniskirt, and she was lying down while the young man, who, by the way, was very nicely dressed, and the young lady was very nicely undressed. I mean, these were yuppie types between the ages of 25 and 35, and he was manipulating her groinacopia.
Oh, would you please? Marilyn Monroe never wore underwear either, but nobody wanted to arrest her.
In broad daylight, these people were getting it on in front of 18,000 people, while Michael Stanley,
A good friend of
mine,
yours.
was performing on stage and was a very good concert. On the way out, Brian Friday, Investigation Police, encountered another woman whizzing between the cars. That's 11.
So doesn't Brian Friday ever see men doing this?
No.
Because I, Janet Saturday, was also at that concert.
All you saw, that was
Was
Friday.
about-
It was Friday. Your memory's slipping. The concert was
See,
Friday.
But his name is Brian Friday. I couldn't be Janet Friday.
No, well, very
Okay.
clever. Very clever. Maybe
I saw it
maybe you're
was
responsible for the
intermission.
candy machine being
It
taken
was
out.
intermission.
Yeah.
And I was standing there at the top of the hill, and I turned around, and there had to be 50 men doing their thing in the bushes.
Yes, but they weren't in a state of undress.
Oh, yes, they were.
No, we mean yes, they were.
Yes, they were. Some of them were. Not all of them, but some
You
of them
mean to
were.
tell me while a man is participating in God's work on public property, which is
Some
perfect.
of them drop their drawers.
No.
Yes, yes. Howard, I saw it.
I have never, ever seen
saw
a
it
man,
just the
nor
other
do I
night.
care to see a man. Maybe we'll check with Albright. Well, I mean, his show has all these people that talk about, sexuality.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen a man, quote, drop his trousers while participating in God's functions.
Well, some of them did Friday night at the concert.
You're lying.
No, I'm not, Howard. There had to
You're
be,
telling...
because somebody pointed it out to me. They said, turn around and look. Look at all those guys. Can you tell it's intermission?
That was
Boom.
security.
It was not security.
That was security trying to solve the
No.
Barbara Blatnick murder case, which
No,
has
no,
gone
no, no,
unsolved
no.
since
Poor-
1988. Right?
Brian,
Another unsolved Akron murder. Is that number 19?
I think we're up to number 19.
Okay, so you think
tell
that...
Brian to just chill out.
Chill out.
I, myself, have seen lots of men do the same
Yes,
thing.
but you didn't actually see the men partaking. You just saw their backs. The women were actually...
No, you can see the men partaking. You can just be walking by. Men don't care where they are.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Don't.
Yes,
No,
they
they
do.
don't. No, they don't.
I had a young lady, a redhead this morning, tell me, not you, by the way, there's another redhead. Actually, there's 4 redheads.
Several in your life, aren't
Yes,
there?
including Debbie the dentist. Moving on. Boy, did she have some drill yesterday. That was a good experience, boy.
You liked old Deb the dentist, huh?
Debbie the dentist. Anyway, so you think this is no big deal?
Oh, Brian.
These people
relax.
were participating in urinary action on private property. You don't...
Well, that's not right.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not
in
right.
the
If-
bushes.
Well, if you can
performing-
find bushes that are, not so private.
They were
maybe.
performing a whiz or white.
See, I mean, personally, I would never do that.
Why would a
but-
Supreme Court justice be named Whiz? All right, you didn't like that story.
Oh,
I'll just put it
lots
over
of people
here.
will, though, I'm sure.
Well, Blossom Music Center is a wonderful place.
It's a lovely place.
And you can say, well, all those hippy-dippy, commie pinko people with the tattoos on their noses. No, these were men and women aged 25 to 35 to 45.
It was a very nice crowd Friday night.
Yes, it was very nice, except some of them weren't wearing underwear, and other of them were whizzing on private property. I'd like to have someone, I, as a man,
Yes.
am personally offended if a woman acts any less than a woman.
Well, what if you, as a man, had to go to the bathroom? Would you go? Have you ever, stopped along the side of the road?
No.
You've never?
Never.
Never in your whole entire life, even as a teenager?
No, never.
Early 20s?
No, I'm a firm believer in bringing a bottle.
Ew.
Or do what they do at the nursing home. They bring these tubes and,
Oh, would you stop?
and they put yourself on tap. Moving on to other subjects here. Boy, did Dan Quayle. By the way, that's the end of today's adventure. Brian Friday and his faithful companion, Monica. Okay. Dan Quayle, boy, did he look presidential sounding, addressing the AMA, while all the gays and homosexuals, so you can't say fag. It's illegal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So we'll say homosexuals.
Okay.
We're protesting his speech because he was calling for mandatory medical AIDS testing. Very presidential. I mentioned this. I mentioned that. I went to the dentist and I watched real closely.
You watch what the dentist does.
I also had an oral hygienist, very nice person.
Did they wear gloves?
Oh, did they ever? They changed gloves, they washed gloves, they cleaned hands, they washed hands, they cleaned the floor, they cleaned the ceilings, they cleaned everything.
Oh, good.
Immaculate.
Good.
American Dental Clinic, immaculate.
Good.
Wonderful.
Superb.
And they're personal friends of Dorothy Fulltime. They got a picture on the wall with them and Dorothy Fulltime.
Do they really?
She's dead. Anyhow.
They don't know Michael Stanley.
But I do.
Walden Books.
Walden Books, the section by the travel area. Anyhow, we had a tragedy in Akron, a drowning. Any comments on that?
That was just exactly what you said. It was a tragedy. You know, they were trying to
Did
swim
they
ashore
drown?
and they were complaining.
Did they drown in a pool?
No.
Were they swimming in a lake?
Yes.
One should never swim in a lake.
Why not?
Because people drown in lakes. They don't drown in swimming pools.
No, people drown in swimming pools.
It's funny you should mention that. A man in Florida, it's right on the front page of the Beacon, he feels responsible for the 5 children in Florida who drowned swimming in a lake where it says, no swimming when lifeguard is not on the duty. And so the lifeguard wasn't there, so the children drowned. So you know what that's called? Stupid. God doesn't always give you a second chance. That's the hard reality of things. God doesn't. Why doesn't God always give you a second chance? Oh, you're not going to get into
That's
this?
very frightening. We were just talking about that the last night.
You were? Was I there?
No.
Oh,
My brother was.
What did you say? Why doesn't God give you a second chance all the time?
Because sometimes you don't learn from the first chance.
Oh, is that what you're saying? That's pretty. Your brother probably said that.
No, actually, we agreed upon that.
Oh, well, I can't believe you would say that.
Oh, it's...
So these 5 children in Florida drowned because they couldn't swim, okay?
And they shouldn't have been in the water to begin
They
with.
went into the water only up to about their knees. There was nothing to worry about, but nobody could hear them because of the traffic going by. 80% of the county is non-swimmers. Well, then you shouldn't be allowed to swim there. And it says, signs warn no swimming without a lifeguard. And the children couldn't swim. So you don't get a second chance. Ooh, I can't stand it. Why don't you? Hey, you don't. That's all. Conservatives understand that. Liberals don't. Liberals always want a second. No, you don't get a second chance. And that's true about education. See? If you're dumb as a child and you ruin your teenage years, then that's it. You're done. That's it. Go be a bagman or something. See? You don't get a second chance. Agree or disagree?
No, I agree. Some people can turn their lives around, but it's not necessarily
Listen to your ministers and priests and your rabbis and your nuns and your sheik of Arabis and all those things. Stay in school, get a good religious background, listen to the talk show host during the midday, Not necessarily all talk show hosts, just middays. He's the one with the good values.
He certainly does. And
God
those shirts.
doesn't give you always a second chance. Speaking of second chance, this nice lady got a second chance from this rabbi.
That was interesting.
Yes, indeed. I always thought, to show you what I thought, what did I know?
What did you know?
I always thought the Kabbalah was a negative thing. Oh, no. Oh, no. Here is this nice lady who had lost both of her kidneys. She's on dialysis at the Cleveland Clinic for 8 years. 2 kidney transplants had failed. She was in a bad way.
Oh, boy.
So somebody said she ought to go to one of these new faith, new age healers. And she said no, being of Jewish faith, she was going to seek out somebody who could comfort her in her own faith. Perfectly fine. I see nothing wrong with that. So she went to, let me get my pronunciation here, Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi, I believe it would be, of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Better to be a Shalomi than a Shalami, because a Shalami you have with cheese.
Pepperoni.
And an pepperoni, omelet, whatever. Anyhow, so the fine rabbi from Philadelphia went through the ancient books of the Kabbalah. Now comes today's question. Gee, I obviously didn't know nothing, because I always thought the Kabbalah was the Bible of the negative world.
Oh, you did? I'm not familiar with the Kabbalah either.
When people used to call me up over the years about witchcraft, they often used to say, oh, well, they were reading the books of witchcraft and also the Kabbalah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, they didn't say that the Kabbalah was the Bible of witchcraft. They said, oh, well, he was or she was participating in satanic this and that, and was participating in the ancient Satanistic books and also the Kabbalah. So I assumed by that the Kabbalah contained negative connotations. Apparently not. Uneducated person like me and you out there. The Kabbalah, the works of sacred, secret knowledge in Judaism. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that. Some say date back to the time of Abraham. Anyhow, a couple years later, which she is now 58, she's as healthy as can be, supposedly. And by sort of like faith healing her in the Jewish fashion, she is now healthy. When or where or somebody clue me in, I thought the Kabbalah had some negative connotations. Apparently not. The secret knowledge, the sacred secret knowledge of Judaism. I didn't know that.
That's interesting.
I think it's fascinating.
Oh,
Who can tell us about the Kabbalah? Besides the people laughing in the hallway here who are removing the pop machine. Okay, now we got a couple more.
Pop machine stays.
These are not, it's a non-subject Tuesday. I don't have any subjects at all. I love this letter to the editor. I love this letter to the editor. Ohio law says the state must provide an education for children up to age 18. Unless they finish early or are permitted by their parents to quit school, which of course is very fashionable around here in the eastern suburbs. Where's the line drawn and by whom when it comes to a juvenile in jail? Are you ready for today's good, sensible line? Once a juvenile is arraigned in court and is to be tried as an adult and goes to Summit County Jail, how come the education stops? No, my lady friend, that's when the education begins. How to avoid the homosexuals in jail.
A whole new education.
Whole new education. You see, we're talking about a juvenile who has performed a serious felonious crime.
Extremely serious in order for him to be tried as an adult.
Yes. Not only is it a serious crime, but it's a serious crime in a manner as such that he's over 15 and is to be tried as an adult. Quote, when does the education stop and why? No, his education begins, it's called watch out for the chicken hawks, avoid taller people, and never turn your back on a fellow prisoner. Let's provide, hey, when he's in jail, he'll have plenty of time to look through the jail library. We're just knocking them out right here,
we're just
boy.
having a ball.
We're having a ball. Okay, the average student leaders, says. Student leaders, these are good students, spend an average listening to music how many hours a day?
How many? 3.
4. How many hours a day watching TV?
2.
2.4. And how many hours talking on the telephone? I am not
2.
Yes. So 4. plus 2.4, and 2 is 8.4 hours a day. Now, assuming that the average student sleeps 12 hours a day.
Oh, wait a minute. Now put the average student in school.
All right, first of all, a student is in school for how many hours?
From about 8 until 3.
7 hours. All right, the average student sleeps for how many hours?
So then, in that case, the average student would probably go to bed about midnight.
Why?
We're talking high school kids?
10th, 11th grade. say.
11.
Goes to bed at 11 o'clock and wakes up at 7 o'clock. They sleep for 8 hours, right? All right. 7 and 8. And they listen to the radio, watch TV, listen to music rather, and talk for 8.4 hours, all right? That means that they're 15, well, that's 23